updates on health and safety of Rotarians? Okay, hearing none. Any other announcements? Okay, hearing none. Our guest, I know we have Tom Wickham. Tom, you want to say hi to the audience?
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here, and actually a bit of a reunion in some respects, since I've signed elsewhere at GM the last few years.
Thank you, and welcome to Rotary.
Thank you.
Any other announcements? Okay. Then it's time for the program. Rotarian Jerry Preston will give the introduction as Flint Rotary welcomes Mr. Jack Hund, presenting GM's Road to 0, 0, 0. Jerry, the floor is yours.
Had to get unmuted there. Sorry, President Ray. I just want to, before I introduce the speaker, to say thank you to Tom Wickham. Tom was instrumental in helping me get this program to you. Tom works with GM Manufacturing Communications, and many of you will remember Tom from his work at the Flint Journal. So thanks, Tom, for making arrangements for today's speaker. Our speaker today is Jack Hurd. Jack is the operations manager at GM's Orion Assembly Plant. Jack is presenting GM's Road to 0, 0, 0, and will review GM's aggressive plans to launch dozens of electric vehicles and reduce its carbon footprint. Very recently, GM announced that the Chevy Silverado electric pickup and the GMC Hummer EV SUV are scheduled for production, while Jack's in the midst of launching an updated version of the Chevrolet Bolt EV and the all-new Chevrolet Bolt EUV. I think the transition to electric vehicles will be even more significant than the transition from horse-drawn vehicles a little more than 100 years ago. Rotarians, please welcome GM's Jack Hurd. Jack?
Yeah, Jerry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll go ahead. Before I get started, I'm going to have to show my presentation here, but I wanted to just quickly, it's Jack Hund, actually. And I specifically chose this background with the Flint Assembly, as I feel a strong tie to this group, because I started my career at General Motors right there in Flint Assembly on Van Slyke Road. And I have a tremendous amount of friendships that I developed in the community up there. And I lived in that community for that time. And I have strong roots in Flint. And excited to have this opportunity today to speak with the team. So let me see if I can go ahead and share my screen. I don't use the Zoom very often, but we'll give it a shot here. Share. And then, so hopefully you guys are seeing my screen.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. We'll see if I can get through this and not screw it up. If I do, I apologize. But so as Jerry mentioned, we're going to talk today about GM's journey to 0, 0, 0. And what that means is the vision of the company, in which we have no more congestion, no more crashes, and no emissions. So we have a more sustainable future for our planet. So I can tell you, I've been with General Motors for 21 years, and this is probably the most exciting period of time I have worked with the company. It's such an amazing transition and really a paradigm shift in the industry. Jerry actually referenced the shift from a horse-drawn carriage to internal combustion engines, and this is very similar to that time in which the way that we transport ourselves is going to, over the next decade, is really going to change significantly. So hopefully you'll see that as we go through the presentation today, and really excited about this opportunity to share with you. So I'm going to go to the next slide. For some reason that's not, oh. So here's the agenda. I'm going to just quickly give you a little bit about my background. And then I'm going to speak more to GM's vision, And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Bolt EV and EUV that we build here at Orion Assembly. We're going to talk about our Cruise AV, which is the autonomous vehicle, the investment that we have with a subsidiary Cruise that we purchased, and how we're helping support that vision here at Orion Assembly. And then we're going to talk about the road ahead with other EVs that we're going to be introducing in the GM portfolio. And then finally, I'll give an opportunity for questions and answers, and hopefully I'll be able to answer the questions that you have. So a little bit about me. So you saw me, I've got my mask on. That's because I'm here at Orion Assembly today, and that is policy that we wear a mask when we're inside the facility. And then actually this picture was also taken when we were doing a review, because we've had a lot of interest, a lot of excitement. In fact, we had Al Roker here from NBC News just on Monday, as well as we had some presidents of the company. So a lot of excitement right now in the EV space. And you see that not only here at General Motors, but industry-wide. The electric vehicle is really is gaining a lot of momentum. And I think it's coming at the American people a lot quicker than they probably would expect. A lot of people probably don't even realize that it's happening. And I kind of draw a parallel to your cell phone. So each of you, I'm sure, has a smartphone in your hand or in your pocket. And those have only been around since 2007. So in 2007, if you would have asked me if I needed to have a phone with a big screen that I could get on and do emails and search internet, I would have not believed that it was a necessity. And now I can't live without it. And I can tell you that that's really what's happening in the automotive industry right now. The industry is quickly moving towards electric vehicles, and the technology that the electric vehicle will help support will make our lives easier, make it less fatigued when you travel on long distances, and really make it a lot safer for you. So a little bit about my background. I'm an engineer by background, mechanical engineering. I started work for General Motors in 2000. Prior to that, I served 6 years in the Army National Guard, and I attended Michigan Tech, where I got my bachelor's degree in engineering. Since then, I actually attended Kettering University, and I got a master's in engineering. And then I also attended the University of Michigan Flint, where I got a master's in business administration. So as I mentioned, strong roots in the Flint area. Spent a lot of time up there, and proud to say that I'm tied to the Flint community. So I worked at Flint Assembly. I was in the paint shop. I worked mostly in maintenance, and had 3 shift responsibility. So it was, I'm sure the folks on this call know just how busy that facility is. And I know there's a complex there, right, with the stamping and the powertrain, but my ties were exclusively to the assembly plant. And that plant obviously is a big profit contributor for General Motors. So we certainly appreciate all that plant does. So I worked there for 11 years, and then I got an opportunity to become a engineering manager at the Warren Tech Center, where I managed significant capital investments for new product launches. So I worked on launches at Spring Hill for the new Acadia, new Cadillac. I worked on the C7 Corvette at Bowling Green. I've worked at both of the Lansing facilities launching Cadillacs and Camaro, as well as the Traverse. So I've had a really amazing experience with this company, getting to challenge myself in different aspects. And then that's what's led me to this current role, where I'm the plant launch operations manager, and I am responsible from really the concept to launch. We bring in this vehicle to market. So my team, we have been working over the past 2 years we actually flew to South Korea, Seoul. That's where the vehicle was engineered. And we spent time there with the Korean team, learned how to build the vehicle. And then we brought those learnings back here to Orient Assembly, and then executed the investment in order to build the vehicle. So this is a $300 million investment that was necessary. So my team, we executed that. A lot of that was for automation, specifically in the body shop. But we basically had to build a whole new body shop in order to construct the vehicles. And so we got that behind us. And we're actually now to the point where today we had a really exciting moment. The first model year 22 Bolt EV actually came off the line, and the team is working aggressively to build the Bolt EUV. So just an amazing opportunity to work with this company. I continue to learn new things, and I can tell you that, as I mentioned, that as the company is growing right now, and we're really dabbling in all these new technologies, it's very, very exciting. And there's a ton of competition out there too. And I've had these conversations with Tom, and the competition is good, right? It drives us to be better. And at the end of the day, it's going to make all of our lives easier, whether it's hands-free driving or getting deliveries quicker from your Amazon or FedEx deliveries quicker and easier. All of that competition will drive us to be better. So with that, I'm going to start a video, this is a video that was put together by our senior leadership and really kind of outlining the vision of the company. We'll get started. Hopefully you guys can hear the audio.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, there's no audio.
All right. Thank you for
No.
that.
No.
So how do I share can you see the video, right?
Yes.
So I hear the audio in my room.
So check the bar on the right-hand side down. Okay. You want me to take over and I can try for mine?
Oh, share sound. Share sound. Hold on.
Okay.
3 years ago, GM.
You hear that now?
Yes.
Oh,
Good.
I'm gonna step back. Thank you, guys. As I mentioned, I'm not.
3 years ago, GM shared its vision of a future with zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion. But we never thought achieving such a vision could be done alone. It would require technological, cultural, and industry change.
General Motors wants to put everyone in an electric vehicle, and we have the technology and manufacturing expertise, as well as the global scale to do it. 000 is a bold vision, but we're committed to it because we believe it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. You know, I have 3 kids, and I want my kids to have the same appreciation and enjoyment of the environment and the world we live in that I got to have.
I'm excited to share with you the new marketing campaign we are kicking off that brings together the personalities, influencers, and everyday drivers who will inspire this movement. That will take all of us. An inflection point in the history of electric vehicles, and the start of a more expansive, inclusive view of an all-electric future. GM is ready to lead, to inspire, and ignite a movement to reflect this modern dynamic mission. We're updating our brand identity to represent the technology-powered optimism that we feel.
With the new logo, we wanted to make it more modern, fresh, and innovative. We wanted something that was new, but it still needed to herald back to our past. And we've injected color into the logo that represents not only where we're headed in terms of our electrification strategy, but also zero emissions with the open blue skies.
This is a new chapter for GM, built on people of hundreds of thousands of dedicated change agents inside General Motors and millions of drivers around the world. So, the question I want to ask everyone is, are you in?
All right.
3 years ago.
Try to go to the next slide. So really, as I mentioned, that video does a really good job of describing the excitement that we feel in the company. And I know it was probably surprising to some folks that changed the GM logo, and she had mentioned about injecting color. And I would even go a little bit further, injecting life. It really is just an exciting time as we evolve as a business and the technologies, and here it really kind of shows the vision, right? The zero crashes, which you see on the left side, that's our cruise origin, which is and I'll talk a little bit about this later, but it's a autonomous vehicle, so there's no driver in that vehicle. You would literally use your cell phone like you do in Uber or a Lyft, and you would have a ride hailing service where the vehicle would just come pick you up and take you to your destination and allow you to get there safely. Zero emissions. Obviously, that as I mentioned about the more sustainable planet, and actually in 2020 with the pandemic, I know that there was, as the world was grounded, we saw lots of evidence of how the world started healing. So that was a really great opportunity for us as a species to realize that it's time to change. We need to do more to be have a sustainable future, and then zero congestion. So you can imagine that most of the traffic jams that we encounter are because of human error. And that as vehicles have vehicle-to-vehicle communication, and the sensors that we'll have involved in the vehicles will be able to manage that traffic in a much more efficient way and reduce congestion that we see on the road. So really exciting future. And so one of they talk a lot about sustainable environment, and I can tell you that's from a vision perspective, that's certainly one of the main targets. However, as a consumer, what's going to change the consumer is once you get behind the wheel of the vehicle. And they don't talk about that enough, and I think you'll start hearing more and more about that. And I think that's why the EV adoption is so drastic. It's exponential, I would almost say, is because once you get behind the wheel and realize how different the driving experience is, you become a believer, and you can understand why they have the everybody in strategy, right? Because you get in the vehicle and you'll quickly realize the handling of the vehicle, for example, you don't feel the vehicle transmission going through gears. It's just, it accelerates very quickly up to the speed that you want to go. And it's really fun and exciting to drive, and offers technologies like one pedal driving, where you don't even need a brake anymore. You just essentially pull your foot off the accelerator and the vehicle slows down to a stop. So really just fantastic. And then not only the driving experience. So I've been in a vehicle for a couple months now. I've been working here at the Orion plant building electric vehicles for 4 years. So you'd think that I would have a history of driving an electric vehicle. And to be honest, I have not. I've driven them a few times, but I've been exclusively driving an electric vehicle for probably 2 months now, and I haven't been to a gas station since. So that burden that you have and having to go to a gas station, you don't think about, but it's certainly is something that you recognize, and I'm concerned that when I go back to driving internal combustion engine, on how I will the nuisance I'll notice and having to stop and fill up, because literally I just plug the vehicle in every night like you do your cell phone, and then I just don't even think about it. And then the maintenance of the vehicle, right? With electric vehicle, you don't have oil that you have to change or any of those belts that are rotating that need to be replaced after a certain amount of time. So significantly less maintenance, and I would say that those will be the things that shift the consumer opinion on an electric vehicle. And you know, I was talking earlier to some of the folks in my breakout room about the range anxiety and charging rates. Those are two of the most probably significant contributors to concern on purchasing an electric vehicle. And the technology has come along so far that that we're going to be able to, as a company, educate the consumer that range and the vehicles that we're producing here will go 260 miles. So if you think about the last time you went 260 miles in a day, it's not very frequently. You're likely to be going on a trip somewhere. And then we have options where you can stop along your route and get a quick charge on your vehicle. So it's really about learning more and getting educated. And then as the technology advances, it's going to get even better. So here's the vehicles that we're launching here at Orient Assembly. So on the left-hand side, that's the Bolt EV. So it's a small electric vehicle. That one gets 260 miles. That's the one that I mentioned. So we just started launching that today. We actually got about 50 of them offline, and we'll ramp up to a rate of about 150 a shift. And that vehicle is really fantastic. That's the one we've got about 100,000 vehicles on the road. So we've got a lot of experience with that vehicle. So this model year 22 is a significant refresh for us. It has basically a whole new front end and new styling, which you can see with the LED lights that are lit up, and a whole new instrument panel, all new interior. So I would say in 2016, when we first launched the Bolt EV, the strategy was to make it affordable and maybe at some expense, we sacrificed maybe some of the interior comfort. And as we probably, because back then, this just shows how quickly the industry is evolving. In 2016, we were targeting a niche market where you're not the folks that were interested in purchasing the vehicle were I don't want to classify it as a tree hugger, but people that were really focused and wanted an electric vehicle for those environmental reasons. And now here we are in 2021. The vehicle has evolved, and that's what is in this refresh. Is more of a vehicle for everybody, and that's because we see the EV adoption accelerating, and trying to make sure we have those comforts and the technology integrated in the vehicle that our customers want. So for example, before we didn't have lane keep assist or adaptive cruise. Those are all new features in this vehicle. So really exciting time, and so that's launching right now. And then before summer, we've got.
Thank you.
On the right-hand side, you see what is called the Bolt EUV. So that really is targeting the customer's concerns. And what we've done is the EUV is electric utility vehicle. And so really they're trying to have SUV type proportions. So the vehicle is 6 inches longer. It has 3 inches longer between the wheels. And interior wise, you're going to notice a lot more technology and luxurious options. One of those was the hands-free driving. So we have what we call Super Cruise. So this was actually the first Chevy that has the Super Cruise technology integrated into it, in which you can drive completely hands-free on mapped roads. So mapped roads are typically like 2-lane divided highways, major highways. So thinking around in our area, I-75, I-69, 23, some of those major roads. Once you get on those roads, you literally set your speed, and engage Super Cruise, and then your hands-free driving at that point. Still requires the driver to be aware. So you're supposed to be looking forward, and there's actually a sensor that's checking for your that you are paying attention. It's actually looking at your eyes. But it's the only hands-free driving feature in the industry. So other like Nissan or Tesla, they have self-driving capability. However, they still require you to have your hands on the wheel, and they have sensors on the wheel that will verify that your hand is on there. So ours is truly hands-free, and it's really just checking to see that you're paying attention. So works fantastic. I can tell you, it takes a second after driving a vehicle for 45 years, to become comfortable and taking your hands off the wheel. It is a little nervous at first, but you quickly become a believer in the technology as you see it work, and you see vehicles merging in traffic, and the vehicle does a great job, handles it no problem, and really just an outstanding vehicle. And then it, as I mentioned, we're really targeting to get everybody in it. So I think Stephen was talking about his grandchild, and was it Christina with her twins? This is a vehicle that all of us would benefit. This is a family vehicle. You could have what I especially like the tall guys that come through the plant here. I've got some folks on the team that are over 6'6". I specifically make them sit in the back seat because they can sit back there. There's plenty of room, and really to demonstrate to them how big the vehicle is. It's a little bit deceiving because you don't have like an exhaust system running through, so you have a lot of extra room in the vehicle that you don't anticipate because it's not an internal combustion. So with that, I think we're going to show a video of the reveal of the vehicle.
Wake up.
It's time to get going, buddy.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet. Make you want to move your dancing feet to the rescue. Ready, Tank? Here I am.
When you can't wait for the journey to begin.
Want you to know we're right.
When your imagination runs wild.
What? Here I am.
When we share in the adventure.
To the rescue. Here I am.
When we dream together, magic happens.
Here I am.
The Chevy Bolt EV and Bolt EUV.
Open your eyes, 'cause a new day is dawning.
Ready, Tank?
Magic is electric.
So we were really excited about that. The first was collaboration with Disney, and really excited about that reveal, which actually just came out just weeks ago, literally. And so excited. And what's most exciting to the team is the price point. So it's you saw there about 33,000 starting point, and that's with the technology that we've got incorporated in this vehicle. You can see how aggressive the company is to literally get everybody in an electric vehicle. So they mean really serious about it. And what I would say is that we're really targeting the lower. We talk about the bookends, right? So we'll talk later briefly about the Hummer EV, which would be on a high end. This is really our entry level electric vehicle, which we feel it has a price point and all the creature comforts that will satisfy most families. And then also here at Orient Assembly, we build the autonomous vehicle, which is completely hands-free. We purchased a subsidiary, Cruise Automation, which has it's really a software company, and they've developed a hands-free driving capability. Where so this is the Chevy Bolt, which has been outfitted with the rooftop module, which has LiDAR, radar, and cameras. And then they have what they've achieved level 5 autonomous driving with this vehicle. So what you don't see here in the back is in the trunk area, it has a compute system, which is doing all the computing based, after it receives all the information from all these sensors. And then they're striving for complete level 5 autonomous driving, which the different levels. So level 3 would be the hands-free driving that I talked about, where it really does require the person in the driver's seat to be paying attention and responding to any things that happen. Level 5 would be essentially there is no driver, there is no steering wheel, and the company is working aggressively towards solving that. And we have different variants. One of them is the Cruise Origin that's going to be built down at Detroit, the old Hamtramck facility, now called Factory Zero. And they're targeting really San Francisco right now because of its complexity. And then once they get San Francisco solved, that they can navigate the streets safely and get our customers where they want to go, we'll deploy throughout the cities throughout the world. There's been a lot of news about Dubai, Japan. So we've got a lot of investments that we're working on, as well as investors into this technology with Microsoft, Walmart, and SoftBank. So really a big part of our business. I think we purchased the company for $1 billion, and it's most recently been valued at over 20 billion. So really significant growth, and this will be a big part of all of our future as we seek ride hailing services in urban cities. And then finally, we talk about the road ahead, and I mentioned this earlier in the bookend. So you've probably seen some commercials, and I would say the Hummer EV is really the top market that we're shooting for. I believe that the target entrance on this is the Hummer EV truck. It's about $120,000 vehicle equipped with, I would say, significant technology, completely hands-free driving, all sorts of amazing features to, either just navigating around cities or actually going off-roading. So really exciting time, and this is going to be built down at our, as I mentioned, the Detroit Hamtramck facility. I know we've got some folks on here from GM. It's now called Factory Zero. The vehicles that we build there will be powered by our Ultium technology. So it's our GM's proprietary battery technology. So this is the next generation battery technology. It'll get 400-mile range, and we're talking about recharging 100 miles in 10 minutes. So really trying to tackle those range anxieties that I mentioned earlier. This facility that we're partnered with LG is in our Lordstown complex in Lordstown, Ohio, and that will be feeding the the plant at Factory Zero in Detroit. And then we also will be building another one. There was just an announcement today, another Ultium battery facility in Spring Hill, Tennessee, to support that factory as well. So Factory Zero really is a purpose-built factory for zero congestion, zero crashes, zero emissions. It's really a future factory with all the latest and greatest manufacturing technology in it. And we're going to be building our Hummer SUV, which you see on the lower left, and then the Hummer truck, which you see in the center, and then the all-new electric Silverado, Chevy Silverado, which was just, there was like a teaser that came out recently. So a lot going on in Detroit. We expect to be producing a lot of great vehicles out of there. And as I mentioned, these are going to be really the top end of the customers as far as the technology and comforts that they're seeking, really demonstrating the enthusiasm in the industry and where the industry is headed. And then also here, this is the Cadillac Lyriq. This is going to be produced at our Spring Hill, Tennessee factory. And this is really just an amazing vehicle with the level of luxury that's inside the vehicle, with seating and the screens, as well as the 400-mile range and the quick charging that we talked about. In total, GM has committed $27 billion to develop these technologies in these vehicles, and expecting to launch 30 of these vehicles by 2025. So the two of them that I mentioned are launching right here at Orion Assembly. So really, as I mentioned, exciting time, a lot of growth in the company, and a lot of investment into EV. And then by 2035, GM is committing to, or I should say targeting, to be an all-electric company. And then finally, another one of the growth areas that we talked about is the truck deliveries. GM, this is the EV600. We just recently announced a partnership with another startup company, BrightDrop, in which we're going to have work with FedEx, and then they're going to have these pods essentially that will deliver your packages out of this truck. So really just life-changing technology that the team is working on. You can imagine that this truck would pull up to like a central spot in a city, and then the pods would then go deliver packages to residences. Let me come back here for 1 second. So next, this is a video that's going to show about the Ultium technology.
Change. You can resist it, be left behind, or embrace it and move forward.
We're driving it
everywhere.
We emit optimism, not exhaust.
We plug in our vehicles as naturally as we charge our phones.
We don't judge cars by the rev of an engine,
but by the hum of progress. We
are Generation E.
United.
Not by age,
but by the desire
for smart, clean, and safe. To also be fun, easy,
and powerful.
And our power
comes from this. Ultium.
A battery that charges fast.
Runs long. It fits everyone.
Because when it comes to this all-electric future,
nobody will be left out.
And that changes everything.
The electric future starts now.
It couldn't be any better than that. She ends it perfectly. And so the one thing I did want to say in this video that I just showed really kind of tells the story that it's happening. And the leadership team at General Motors definitely needs to be recognized for their vision to see that it's happening. And if we didn't react as quickly as we have, we could be talking about the company becoming obsolete. So we had to move, and I think that the investments that the company is making are necessary, and the industry is moving in this direction very quickly. So that's a little bit about General Motors and the electric journey. And hopefully it was entertaining, and certainly if there's any questions the team has, I'll give them my best shot.
Questions?
I've got a couple of questions when you get the chance.
Okay,
Go right
right
ahead.
now it's fine.
Jack, thank you for a great presentation, because that was insightful. A couple of things I'm worried about is I have every confidence that GM can continue to be on the leading edge of this technology, but the vehicle simply parks within a system. And the Civil Engineering Association just came out with their annual report card on American infrastructure, and they gave a national rating to our road systems at D-. And how do you look at, the vehicle as it moves? Not only, I mean, you got a fusion of AI and alternative power supply going on here, and the vehicles has to become more of a sensor platform than it is today. How do you see that working in a road system like we have today?
No, it's a fantastic question. And so there's a couple things. So you're talking about more of the autonomous features, right? And so a couple things that people maybe don't realize is, especially with the full autonomy, they have mapping technology. So like out in San Francisco, maybe once a week, they go out and they actually map the roads. They're looking for those monuments or those holes in the road, or whatever it is that so they go out and they essentially are creating three-dimensional world that is then used in the compute system on that vehicle to determine how to navigate through the city. So it's really amazing. If you were to watch, there's a website called getcruise.com, and you can actually watch this vehicle navigate through the city. So it's not only those potholes in the roads, which is a really real scenario, but in San Francisco with bike riders and pedestrians and people double parallel parked and merging traffic, it's a really complex, it's a complex problem to solve. And that's why GM has just done such a fantastic job. And I would encourage you to kind of watch some of those videos, because they're really incredible on what the vehicle is able to do.
Okay. And then do you have any worries, like the numbers that I'm seeing right now are about 2% maybe of the vehicles that are on the road today are electric? Do you have any concerns about the availability of our electrical infrastructure to be able to deliver the right power at the right time to the right place with these vehicles?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a challenge that the leadership team is aware of. So we know we can't just continue to sell electric vehicles without investing in the infrastructure. And actually, the Biden administration has talked about, the investments in the infrastructure. So it's going to be more than just General Motors. Tesla's done a lot of investment, but then it's also going to require the government to kind of help support that. And so not only from just the electricity, being able to support the electricity. So what just happened in Texas, right? That question comes up a lot. Well, what happens if we have a power outage, right? So yeah, those are things that the team needs to figure out. And storage systems, energy storage systems is really what will be the answer. And but then also making sure that we have enough charging stations, right? So I've heard that, like in California, there's backups waiting for people to get on the chargers. And so we don't want that, because that will discourage people from purchasing the vehicles. But I can tell you what the company is really focused on is just like your phone, you plug it in at night, you don't think about it, and then you go about your business during the day. So it would only be those instances where you're going on long trips.
I mean, the technology makes sense. It's just the transition that's going to be complicated.
Yeah.
For example, you're going to have to find an entirely new way to figure out how we're going to fund road maintenance.
Agreed.
If this is successful, then nobody's going to pay any more fuel tax.
Yes.
And everybody thinks that's great, but the roads still have to be maintained.
So that's interesting that you say that. So, because I've recently found out that so when you renew your tabs on your vehicle, that if you have an electric vehicle, the state of Michigan has a tax that they add on to that, because just exactly what you said, because everybody else is paying that tax through fuel, and you won't have to do that with an electric vehicle, but you still pay the tax just through your annual renewal.
Gassan, you had a question.
I do have a question. First, this is an awesome presentation. As a believer in the technology, I'm tickled about what GM is going through. My question is a little parochial. What does this mean to Flint and to GM's operation in Flint, Michigan?
Yeah, and I anticipated that question, right? Because we've got a lot of investment down in Detroit with Factory Zero, but I can tell you, Flint is, as I mentioned, well, Flint for one is building the heavy duty pickup, right? Which generates a lot of profit for the company. So at this time, we've just invested a significant, probably billions of dollars at the Flint assembly facility, and we don't anticipate any changes there anytime in the near future. And then obviously the stamping facility will continue to be a stamping facility. So no changes in the Flint area at this time. We're going to continue kind of a parallel path until we get complete adoption of electric vehicles.
Dick Shea, I saw your hand up. You're muted. Dick, you're muted. Dick, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Now you correct?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Jack, Elon's batteries will those batteries last, say, up to 5 years? And then will they be rechargeable, reusable? So you can continue to use the same battery that was originally placed in the vehicle?
Yeah, so that question came up in our breakout session, and the batteries come with a 100,000 mile warranty and also a 10-year warranty. So the expectation of the company is that the customer would not have to worry about changing the battery, right? And I know 100,000 is probably not, that doesn't probably instill a lot of confidence with you, because you probably want to go a lot farther. But the technology that we're putting in the batteries, we're expecting it's essentially the life of the vehicle, and we're not expecting that the customer would have to change the battery.
Very interesting presentation overall. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question. On the electric batteries, are they going to be, are there any places in Michigan that are building and potentially supplying those? There's General Motors working on the development of these and so on.
Yeah, so not in Michigan. So we build battery packs for the bolt that we produce here. So I think they make the cells in Grand Haven or over in that area, west side of the state. And then the batteries are actually assembled down in, I think it's like Sterling Heights. There's a LG facility there. I've been to the facility. It's like on 16 Mile. Anyway, so we build the batteries here for the vehicle that we build here. And that's actually required because in order to get, a lot of the portfolio that GM has to be balanced, right? For every ICE vehicle that we have to have some offset green credits. And in order to get those green credits, we have to have a certain amount of the vehicle is domestically built. And so that battery is a big part of the vehicle, and it needs to be, and that's built right here in Michigan. For the trucks and the SUVs, our strategy right now is the Lordstown, and you're formerly General Motors, you know, we used to have an assembly plant down there. Part of that complex has been converted, and we are working with LG to build, GM is building the batteries. And then we just had an announcement today for Spring Hill, and we're gonna have a second facility set up to build batteries down there.
Bill Beck.
Yeah, with all the electronic sensors and devices in these vehicles to make them either self-driving or mostly self-driving, how do you do that in the wintertime in Michigan? It's one thing to do it in Arizona when it's sunny. It's another thing to do it here when you got snow all over the car, ice on the roof, and all this kind of stuff. How is that handled?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So the vehicle will do almost like a self-diagnostic, and if it doesn't feel that it's safe, it won't allow you to engage the self-driving technology. But I can tell you, so I've driven the Bolt EUV that we built here, and it, you know, I don't want to say complete blizzard, but it was a pretty significant snowstorm, and the vehicle was able to navigate through it. But if at any point it did not see, if it lost its field of view, or if it didn't feel like it was able to safely execute, it would simply shut down and require the driver to engage.
Fred,
for I mentioned about the level 5 autonomous, where there is no driver. In that instance, there's a couple options. One, they have technology built into the vehicle where we actually do cleaning of the sensors, so they can automatically clean. And then if there was the technology that's in those vehicles will enable, through our OnStar system or similar system, enable somebody to remotely control the vehicle if that was absolutely necessary, if that makes sense.
Yes. Fred, I saw your hand up. You, and then Bob was.
Okay, Jack, first, how is Orion plant going to be reconfigured? I'm thinking in particular, I used to work there. What's happening to aisle 40, and what's going to happen to plant population?
So aisle 40 is actually where we install the batteries right now. So that's the main aisle, right? On the left side, we got the trim shop. On the right side, we got the chassis shop. And you would be surprised if you're interested. You should send me an email. We could take it through the shop. We were actually able to. The vehicle itself builds just like an ICE vehicle. It has a different powertrain, but essentially all the monuments are really the same, right? You're putting seats in, you're putting in an instrument panel, the battery, the team. And actually when we built the Sonic, the team that installed the fuel tank is the same folks that build or that install the battery. So we're just displacing work, and those guys they did it both. They came down the same line. It's really interesting to see how it all comes together.
Thanks, Jack. We'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, we'd love to take it, Fred.
Okay. Bob Sabilski.
Yeah, right. Thank you. And Jack, thank you very much for the presentation. I may have missed this. I've dozed a little bit. We have, I believe, don't we have 2 engine plants in Flint? Combustible engine plants?
So I think we've got the one on the corner of.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'm always thought
it's just Flint Engine South.
Okay, 1 engine. And what happens to that plant?
Well, that's what. So we're going to continue to build internal combustion engine vehicles at least through 2035, and you know, just as we're building these, you know, as the business expands and grows, a lot of those decisions obviously will be evolving. But you know, there's new components of the vehicle that we're going to need, right? Just as we are in Lordstown and Spring Hill, now we're building batteries. the industry will evolve, and so will those complexes, I would say.
If I can add to that, the engine plant serves Flint Assembly. So with the ongoing need for the heavy duty trucks, which are ICE based, the engine plant, will be tied to that.
Big question. What about the big trucks, the 18 wheelers? What's going to happen with them in 35 or by that time?
So we don't, I don't know that General Motors actually makes any of those big, like you're talking like a semi.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just in the industry itself. I mean,
yeah. So the industry there are some folks that are targeting using an electric battery for that, to solve that. So like Tesla, for example, I think is working on an electric semi. But I think that the industry, and this is my hunch, will go to hydrogen because they're going to be on those main, because that's still similar electric technology, and it's still zero emissions. And obviously how to support the hydrogen delivery is the biggest question. But if you were to have hydrogen on your main delivery roads like I-75 and stuff like that, you could, that's where the industry, I think, is heading. And there's several startups that are, Nikola Tesla, for example, is a new startup company, and that's what they're targeting, is to build semis with hydrogen technology.
Mm-hmm.
And GM is an investor in Nikola, and they're working together to solve or to do that.
Because that's a big industry, all the vehicles and so on.
Unmute yourself, Joel. It's your question next.
All righty.
Hi, Joel. Oh,
unmute. You're muted.
Okay. First of all, I wanted to say, Jack, thank you so much. What a great presentation, and also to our Tom Wickham for coming along as well. Tom, I go way back. But just a couple of points. I test drove this vehicle last week, this Chevy Bolt, fully intended to buy one, but they said that the new one was going to be thousands less than the current one. So I'm kind of waiting. But I guess my question is, after you bring it in the garage, you can't really plug it into the regular old garage plug-in. You're supposed to have an outlet in there that's like your dryer, right?
Correct. And actually, that's one of the incentives, is that the company said, if you purchase the model year 22, they will install that outlet in your garage.
Well, that'll be part of it.
Yes.
So when are these things going to be available?
So I can tell you, we just started production today, and there's several steps that we need to go through before we can go to ship to commerce. But I don't expect it to be, I don't expect it to be more than a month or two.
All right.
And then the availability obviously is a bigger question. I think we'll have ship to commerce in the middle of May, and then we have to fill the North America. So all the dealerships, the dealership network, I'm not sure which dealers have already ordered them, but you can actually order one online at Chevy.com.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right.
What about service, the service distributors and dealers right now? I mean, how are they going to switch over? Is there a plan to switch them over to electric? Because they're all gas guys,
Yeah. So the dealers that deal with the electric vehicles, they should have the capability to service the vehicles, and a lot of the dealers are being upgraded right now if they don't already have the EV technology. So it is going to be a learning curve, that's for sure. And you probably saw in the news, like there was some of the Cadillac dealers weren't fully on board, and I think we'll have some of that. But this is part of the evolving business.
Yes. George, can you get my screen back from? You're muted if you wanted to say anything.
Okay.
Next slide. There we go. Tremendous preparation. And Jack, in appreciation for the time and preparation that you donated for our enjoyment and education, the Rotary Club of Flint will make a donation in your name to the Rotary International Foundation for the Eradication of Polio. Thank you for joining us today. We enjoyed this. You answered questions well, and I think all of us are really looking to the future to find out exactly how this is going to work over this time period, and looking forward to the necessary changes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray.
Really, thank you.
Joe, did you have another question? Oh, okay. All right. I want to thank Rotarian Jerry Preston for introducing our outstanding speaker, and thank Rotarian Connie Peters for her very inspirational message. And I want to thank our note taker, Rotarian Kristen Moore Burks. Flint Rotary thanks each and every one of you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our program as much as we enjoyed welcoming you as members and guests. Stay safe, keep warm, and look to open opportunities in order to provide service above self. And listen for the closing bell to stipulate that we are adjourned. Good luck, George. All right.
Oh,
Very good.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
yep. Thanks.
See you next week.
All right. Club assemblies next week.
Right. Okay, good.
Good job, everyone. That was super.
That was great.
That's a great job. Very. Wow. The future looks bright. Wow.
Wow.
That change is tremendous.
In
My
Michigan,
gosh.
look at all the stuff coming here by GM. Isn't that great?
Yes. Incredible. And Jerry, thanks again.
It'll be interesting to see a year from now what things look like.
Right.
We'll try and get them next year on my schedule.
Okay. Well, I'm going to see you next week and enjoy whatever kind of weather we're going to have.
Okay, we'll see you.